Hi guys, it's Kim, and I'm going to talk to you today about how to work with crystals that give you this sense of negative energy or a very strong energy, something that doesn't just feel right to you, doesn't resonate with you. So you might be working with a crystal and you feel kind of dizzy or off balance, or you have a headache, or sometimes you just feel really yucky or drained, or you get jittery, unfocused, very flighty. Sometimes you just feel sick and hot, flu-like symptoms even, or very emotional. It just doesn't feel right. You feel out of sorts sometimes. And I don't think that that's unusual or uncommon, right? So every now and again, we run across a crystal that just, we don't seem to jive with. And so people have asked me, well, should I work with this crystal or not? And that's a very personal decision. And I think there's different things to consider. Like, so why could this happen? What are some of the possible reasons why you might feel very out of sorts and be having this adverse reaction to working with the crystal? And some of the reasons are, well, we're working with frequency and vibration, right? So some of these crystals have a very high vibration or frequency. Moldavite, phenakite, um, apophyllite, they're, or Oralite 23. I mean, they can make you feel really, really wild. Danbarite, if you're not used to it, it can make you feel like really, really weird and ill. And you might be thinking you're having a bad reaction to it. So it could just be that it's just not one that you're used to, and it's a very high vibration. It's a different vibration that you have right now. All right. So that could be going on. You could be new to crystal energy in general. So if you're very new and you all of a sudden say, oh, I'm going to work with a Herkimer diamond, I mean, it might just be too much for you, and you might want to back off and try something calmer. You can be very sensitive to energies as well, and maybe there's nothing really going on. It's just that you're really sensitive to it. All right, so it's not always that like, oh, something is bad or it's wrong or I shouldn't work with the crystal. You got to look at some of the possible reasons. The crystal can frankly just be doing its job, like raising your vibration, your frequency. It's cleaning stuff out. Healing is not a fun thing. I mean, it's can be very purging and nasty feeling. And sometimes, you're working with a crystal and you feel horrible while it's going on, but like in the day after, or the day, or even next week, you feel great, like you purged, you let it all out. So sometimes it's just doing what it's supposed to be doing, and it is in your best interest, but it's really up to you to decide if it's something that you want to do. I mean, you don't want to necessarily push yourself so hard that you're so incredibly uncomfortable with that crystal. If it really feels wrong to you, then you need to trust your intuition and don't use it. But if you're kind of on the fence, maybe just take it slow, and I'll give you some tips. Um, you could also be sending out mixed signals, meaning like you're working with the crystal, but maybe you're all over the place with your intentions on it. And so you're getting different kinds of energies with it, and different things are happening because you didn't really clarify what it is that's going on. So if you feel that could be the case, then maybe you want to sit down and really clarify, and if you want to program your crystal to really work with you more specifically on a specific thing instead of so much. Maybe you need to narrow it down a little bit as to how you want to use that crystal. That might help if you, zone in on why you're even working with that crystal in the first place. That might help you not to get so much, so overwhelmed or have any other adverse reactions from it. You might have pent up energy. That could happen. It's happened to me many times. You have extra energy floating around. Sometimes it needs to come out if it gets stuck. I've done a lot of work in here, and it's been stuck in my head, and I had like a summer of horrible migraines and stuff. And when I opened up my crown and shot it all out, that was great. Haven't really had migraines since then, just once in a while. So sometimes you do have that pent up energy. And so if you're working with a crystal that's really high vibration, really powerful, you could really have this energy all stuck in you and it needs to go out, Um, it might not be right for you, frankly. It just may be a crystal that you may want to move on from, keep it for a while or whatever, but maybe you don't want to work with it right then, right now. There also could be a Devic inside, or some kind of, entity inside your crystal. You never know. I've worked with some, so you do occasionally have that happening, and they could be giving you a hard time. You know, you may want to have a little talk with it, or you may not. Um, so those are some of the possible reasons why you might be feeling kind of off about your crystal, or you might be trying to be doing too much. Maybe you have it combined with something else. You might not want to do that. All right. So some of the things that you can do with this issue is, well, first of all, cleanse and retune your crystal. Make sure you're working with a nice, clean, retuned crystal. And I have a video on that if you want to check that out on how to do that. Ground yourself. A lot of times we work with these crystals and we're not grounded. I am the biggest one to do this. I mean, I'm always at fault for this. I forget all the time. I work with my crystals, and then like a couple, next day or the day after, I am completely drained and flighty and out of it. And I get that crystal buzz, and I crash. So a lot of times, we need to ground ourselves so that we are still connected to this planet while we're working with this high energy. You can also ground the energy of the crystal. So if you're working with a crystal that's just like, really too much for you, and, maybe it's too intense for you or doesn't feel right, you can ground the energy of that crystal. So hold the crystal in your receiving hand, close your eyes, get into like a meditative alpha state, and imagine the energy of the crystal going down through your feet, down into Mother Earth. And if you want, you can just leave that energy right there in Mother Earth and let her have it, and she'll deal with it. Or you can bring that energy back up into you, and it won't be as intense. It'll be grounded energy. So it's kind of like, you're bringing in this energy, and it might be too intense. So you're putting it down into Mother Earth, and she does her magic, her Gaia magic. She'll bring it down and then shoot it back up into you, and it won't feel as intense because it'll be grounded energy. So you can try that as well. I've done that, and that works really, really well. Or you can just leave it down. If it's something that was really too much for you and it's freaking you out, leave that energy down in the earth and don't bring it back up into you. Other things that you can do, you can introduce this crystal slowly. Don't sleep with it or carry it with you 24/7. Maybe don't even meditate with it for too long. Just a few minutes, like, just like sipping a fine wine. Just sip on it. Don't gulp it. So take your time with it. Just use it a couple minutes a day for a little while, and then you'll start to get used to that energy. See, after a while, you get used to this energy. I know with many, many crystals, after a while, I'm just used to it. I don't even feel them anymore because it's like just, I recognize it like a friend. So introduce that slowly. Don't do it all, too much. And don't have a clear quartz with you, because that will amp up the energy even further. All right, so you don't want to do that. Don't make gem waters from it and put it into your system. Don't spray it all around you. Just use it little bits at a time. Take human bites, little nibbles. All right. You can also set a specific intention, almost like programming. So hold your crystal and set a specific intention, like I was saying before, as to why you want to work with that crystal, that energy of that crystal. You can also look into using opposing colors to kind of soften the energy or even cancel it out. So for example, if you're working with carnelian, and this happened to me, that's why I share this experience. If you're working with carnelian, and carnelian can really set me off, I can't even really work with carnelian very often, just little teeny bits, only when I'm really tired. Because when I work with carnelian, I'm like the Energizer Bunny, and I get like really drugged, really, really high, and then I crash. So with carnelian, I have to take little human bites with carnelian, just tiny little bit. But if you're working with carnelian, for example, and it's just really overpowering and you have way too much energy and, you're really buzzing and stuff, you can go ahead and use something opposite of that, like a blue lace agate. And that will help to even the playing field. It could cancel out completely, or it might just kind of make it more gentle, depending on your energy and what's going on and all that. But you can try doing that opposing energy. And a good way to do that is by looking at the color wheel. It's not always the case, but it works a lot. You look at the color wheel and look at the opposing color energies. Now, we don't always use crystals based on color. That's a misconception, but it's a good place to start. All right. So using the opposing energy or using a crystal that's kind of opposite of what it is you're using the other crystal for can help kind of cancel it out. Let's see. You can always just bury it and try again later. If it's something that's really freaking you out and it's not one that you feel comfortable using, because that happened to me with my ammonite. I just put it out under a bush for a while before I was able to go back and say hi to it again. So you could do that, especially if you're really afraid. If you feel afraid of your crystal, then don't work with it. Bury it and go back another time maybe, because if you're afraid of it, that's not good for anybody. All right. You can also try less intense crystals like agate or jasper. So if some crystals are too high frequency for you, too crazy, make you really jittery and stuff, then just try a less intense one like an agate or a jasper. You can also introduce rose quartz or smoky quartz. So if you're working with a crystal that you feel is too intense or doesn't feel right, you can try working with the rose quartz or smoky quartz too to help calm it down as well. I've done that. I don't know of any combination where rose quartz doesn't help, because it really works on that heart chakra and it's calming and it's love. And so your vibration, your intention remains to be heart-based. And so I think that works really well if you're working with a crystal that's kind of giving you the heebie-jeebies, to stay heart-based. All right, so you can try that too. All else fails, it's not one you really want to work with anymore. That's fine. You might want to gift it, give it away. Maybe it's not even supposed to be with you. That's a possibility. But one thing I just want to throw out there before I close the video is that I want you to think about it. Is it really bad energy? Because there's really no bad energy or negative energy. There's just energy. There just is. And it's our perception. So maybe our perception is this doesn't feel right, which is okay, because maybe it isn't right for you. But it's really just a matter of perception. So it might be right for somebody else, right? But if it doesn't feel right, when in doubt, go without. Follow your intuition. I follow my intuition. It's not going to steer you wrong. It's better to be safe than sorry and all those cliche things. But, only you really know if you should be working with that crystal. So take it slow. Try different combinations with it. Don't go overboard. If it's too much, put it away and try it another day, or just... don't throw it away, give it to somebody else or bury it or something along those lines. If you really just don't want to work with it, that's okay. But I just wanted to give you some ideas of why it could be happening and some of the things that you can do. All right, so let me know in the comments below if you've had any weird experiences or, negative or unwanted experiences with crystals and how you dealt with it. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks for watching, and as always, guys, have a blessed day.